Welcome to r/Best of Redditor updates, where OP finds out that her dad is a deadbeat scammer and her grandpa is mega rich. Our next Reddit post comes from r/True Off My Chest. My grandpa is punishing my dad. I have the power to stop it, but I don't know if I actually want to. I'm a 21-year-old woman, and I lost my mom when I was 14. Dad remarried when I was 17. My stepmom has a daughter who's 15, and she and dad had a boy who's now 3. They also recently gave birth to a little girl. Anyways, I've worked ever since I was 16 so I can have money to buy stuff for me. When I turned 18, Dad said that since I was now an adult, I should start paying rent. It was only $500 a month, a symbolic amount since he would still cover food and other essentials. I was mad and we fought, but in the end, I accepted that, and that was the arrangement until 7 months ago. My dad came to me saying that I had 2 months to move out, that my stepmom was pregnant and they would need my room for my baby, which is insane because they both have their own private offices. My stepmom doesn't even need her office since she's been a stay-at-home mom since the birth of my baby brother. Nonetheless, they told me that I had to move. And just to be clear, me and my stepmom get along fine. We don't fight or bicker. I don't think that this was an evil stepmom moment, but who knows? Me and my stepsister are actually pretty close. I help her with her homework, and we talk about her personal problems. I do love her very much. Anyways, I called my aunt asking if I could move in with her for the time being until I figured something out, and I also offered to pay her rent. She was shocked at what Dad was doing. She said that I absolutely could live with her, no rent needed, but she also said that she was going to deal with my dad. The next day, my grandpa came over to our house, and he and my dad talked privately. I could hear my dad's angry voice, but I couldn't understand anything being said. After a while, my grandpa came to my room and said that I had 3 choices. The first was I could continue living with my dad and my stepmom like I was doing, and nothing would change except I would no longer have to pay rent. The second was moving in with him and grandma or my aunt. The third option was I could find a place of my own and he would pay the rent and the costs for me. He said that I didn't need to choose now, that I could keep living with my dad and if I changed my mind to just tell him. I was actually relieved that I could still live with my dad and that this madness was over. But the following days and weeks, my dad and stepmom were very hostile towards me, and it felt incredibly uncomfortable being in my own home. Even my stepsister picked up on this and asked me why they were so angry at me. So I decided to move out and I told my grandpa. He said that he would take care of everything. A few weeks later, he moved me into one of his rental units. The apartment is lovely. He bought me a fridge, stove, and other essential items. He also gave me a check for $15,000 saying this money is to help me start living on my own. Wow. And that as long as I'm working or studying, I can live there rent-free for as long as I want. My dad and I have been pretty low contact since I moved out. He never came to visit me or I visit them. I miss them a lot, especially my stepsister, but I'm still hurt. 2 weeks ago, my stepmom gave birth and I visited them in the hospital. It was a little awkward, but it was nice seeing them and my baby sister. Anyway, a few days ago, my dad calls me, saying that he misses me, the children miss me, and I should move back home. He apologized for asking me to move out, and I told him I'd think about it. Yesterday, I visited my aunt, and I was telling her what my dad said, and my cousin laughed a little and said, "I'm sure he does." I asked what he meant, and that's when they told me a lot of, until now, unknown information. Basically, my dad's home is actually my grandpa's home. My aunt's home is also my grandpa's home. Basically, the deal he made with me, he did with all of his kids and some grandkids as well. He never wanted any of his family to have to worry about basic stuff like housing, food, etc. Turns out, when I initially called my aunt, she called my grandpa, who was furious with my dad, not only for kicking me out, but also for charging me rent. The day that he went to my dad's and tore him a new one, he threatened to have him evicted. And now for the petty part. You know that $15,000 that Grandpa gave me? That's actually the money that I paid Dad in rent all this time. And now Grandpa is making my dad pay him back. Also, my grandpa is charging my dad $1,200 for my apartment's rent. Call me dumb or naive, but until now, I never realized that my dad didn't make that much money. We lived in a great house, always went on vacations, and lived very comfortable lives. But I guess Grandpa has always been helping behind the scenes. Now, my cousin thinks that my dad is struggling with 3 kids at home, a single income, and having to pay it back to Grandpa. So my cousin thinks that my dad wants me back because he imagines Grandpa will stop punishing him if I'm living back home with them. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I actually love living on my own these past 6 months, but I do really miss my siblings. I miss the life that we had before all of this, but I don't know if moving back home is the right answer. And also, I'm hurt if the reason that he wants me back is money. Alright, first off, living in a house rent-free and then expecting your daughter to pay you rent is scummy. Oh my god, that's scummy. Secondly, why would the dad not tell the daughter, hey daughter, just FYI, Grandpa will give everyone a free apartment as soon as they move out, so we kind of need the space, so go talk to Grandpa, he'll hook you up with a free house, and then, you can live on your own. Instead, he just kicks her out without ever telling her this information? What a douchebag! Then, 10 days later, OP posted an update. The day after my post, I called Dad and said that I decided to not move back in. I didn't mention anything that I was told. Just that I was well settled here and that moving back home seemed like a step back. But I also said that I wanted to keep in contact with him. They could invite me over for dinner if they wanted. And I also said that I would love for my stepsister and brother to be able to spend time with me here at my home. He was disappointed, and I didn't sense any angriness in his tone. But he basically said, "We'll see," and left it at that. I was also disappointed. But then on Friday, he called me and asked me if I wanted to have lunch Sunday, which is today. I said that I already had plans with Grandpa and Grandma, and he asked me when I would be free. So we scheduled a dinner for Thursday. The most important updates was everything that my cousin and my aunt told me last week. Turns out, Grandpa has been subsidizing my basic needs, like school and healthcare, because my dad didn't have 1 cent saved up. Also, almost my entire college fund came from my grandpa. I felt so dumb to not realize this sooner. My grandpa also set up funds for my baby siblings, including my new stepsister. My grandpa said that he didn't want her to feel excluded and that he wanted her to have the same opportunities as her siblings. My grandpa is incredible. I love him so much. And yes, I'm very, very lucky. I've seen a lot of people commenting this. Not in a derogatory way, but being very supportive and nice. I know that I'm very privileged to have grandparents and family members who can afford and are willing to help me. I hope one day I can help others the way that they're helping me. Also, regarding finances, my dad'll have to tighten the belt for a while, but he'll be fine. Lastly, me and my grandpa talked about why Dad kicked me out. My grandpa didn't have an answer for me, but I could see that he and Grandma were very hurt by what my dad did. He said he asked for an explanation, but he didn't get one. That's it for now. I'll continue trying to have a relationship with my siblings outside of my dad and my stepmom. I'll also try to schedule some weekly dinner with them. I know that what you guys are saying about my father is mostly true, but I need to try to at least have a relationship with him. If not for him, then for my siblings and for me. But don't worry, I won't let him hurt me anymore. Well, now it's super clear why OP thought that her dad made a lot of money, because when you don't pay rent, or groceries, or healthcare, or bills, and your daughter's paying you rent on top of all that, then of course you can afford vacations. The dude literally has 0 life expenses. Man, most people in life would kill for a living arrangement like that, and this moron blew it up just so he could scam $500 a month out of his own daughter. Unbelievable. Our next Reddit post comes from rSlash. Am I the butthole for telling my mother-in-law why I have Vaseline next to my bed? I'll start with my wife Tara, who's lovely and beautiful. Tara escaped from her little Midwestern town and ran to the coast the absolute moment that she could. And I'm pretty sure that her mom took that personally. Her mom was born and raised in and around that small town. So, my mother-in-law, she's emotionally immature. Tara once read that book, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay Gibson. And she finally understood her family dynamic in a way that she never did before. My mother-in-law isn't a bad or an evil person. She usually means very well, but she's kind of, I don't know how to put it, self-centered? Like, her first thought process is always, how do I feel about this new information? Tara and I bought a little starter home last year, and her mother-in-law invited herself over last week. This is something that's extremely on brand for her, and we like to pick our battles in this family, so we just let her. Her mom shows up, drops her stuff in the spare room, and then just immediately starts giving herself the tour. Again, whatever. We actually hired a cleaner before she arrived so we wouldn't worry. It was annoying, but that's life. So she's wandering around and comes to our bedroom. I have a jumbo-sized tub of generic Vaseline next to my bed because I have a nose CPAP and my lips get chapped. So she picks it up, makes this really weird face and says, "Well, I know what this is for." And I respond, "Oh, that's for chapped lips. I don't jerk off with Vaseline." Apparently my timing was good because my wife laughed, but my mother-in-law didn't laugh at all. Then, for the next 3 days, she kept asking me, "Are you gonna be gross again?" when I tried to make normal conversation. I said over and over that she was the one who made the joke, and her response was always, "Yeah, but that was a joke," as if what I said was totally serious. And I guess it was. I mean, I was telling the truth, but I was only bantering because she started it. We also never invited her into our bedroom. Anyways, my mother-in-law brought it up over text to Tara, and there's been subtle pressure from her to just apologize. But I don't think I did anything wrong. Am I the butthole? So the type of humor that OP used here is so common that there's a name for it. It's called yes and humor. It's when you take someone else's joke and you build upon it and enhance their joke with your version of their joke. So it's just joking. They start the joke, you add to the joke, it's funny. It was a pretty good joke also. So OP, I'm on your side, but this is Best of Redditor Updates, and we're here for the update, which happens, about 3 weeks later. I took the advice of a couple of people in the original thread, and I talked to my wife about what happened while her mom was there, and how we can manage similar situations going forward. I think the commenters were mostly right, that my mother-in-law was using what I said as a cudgel to get the upper hand. We talked it out and we agreed that we would let it go, but if she brought it up again, or if she tried something similar again, we would present a united front and we would refuse to engage with her attention-seeking behavior, I guess. Well, you can probably guess what happened. She was on the phone with her mom just catching up, and her mom brought up me being gross again. I wasn't on the call or anything, but I could hear her in the other room. For context, Tara finds it very hard to set boundaries with her mom because her mom will just not let some stuff go. She'll just keep bringing it up and talking about how bad she felt. Honestly, I'm so proud of what my wife did. She just hung up. First, she said, "Mom, we're not going to talk about that anymore." And then, "Mom, we're moving on." And then I just hear her set the phone down on the table. I walked in to check on my wife, and she had this great little defiant face on, like she was proud of herself. Our next Reddit post comes from r/tragedy, which is a subreddit that's all about making fun of people who have terribly spelled names. I'm so sorry, but my friend really named her baby Annally. Who's gonna tell her? She already went through with it. It's been months, and everyone in her life thought that it was pretty. It's a combination of her mother's names. I didn't want to be a jerk over the phone. It sounded like Annally. And oh no, her middle name is Ream, R-H-E-A-M, so her name is Annally Ream. By the way, if you're listening and not watching, the way this baby's name is spelled is Annally, all one word. Okay, then the next day, OP posted an update. A lot of you thought that I should tell her, so I decided not to beat around the bush. So I texted her today to ask her how her and Annually were doing, and here OP intentionally misspells Annally as annually. She called me a few minutes ago because she was doing dishes and she laughed at my misspelling. I told her that I felt bad, but my phone also keeps autocorrecting it to other things. She asked, "What other things?" So I said it. My friend laughed and said, "Anally? That's not even a word. Why would it do that? Or is that a different spelling?" You guys, I had to gently explain to her that this was indeed a word. She hung up on me. Then, about 1 week later, OP posted an update. My friend apparently didn't Google anything after our phone call. She never mentioned these posts, nor did she call me back for a few days, so I was panicking. To clarify some questions, she's married, and the names of her and her partner's mother are Anna and Allie. Anna was very insistent on coming first in the name. My friend and her partner's family can be a bit dramatic and narcissistic. And my friend is pretty sheltered, so I imagine she wanted to keep the peace to an extent. Her partner absolutely loves the name. She called me a couple of days ago and told me that she needed to talk to me. She said she was disappointed in me and felt disrespected. She said she knew what anal meant, but didn't register what Annally was at first. When I had explained it to her, she hung up because she never noticed it and was also really upset that I would say that to her. She doesn't want to change the baby's name, but she feels that I'm trying to ruin a special name that was given to her spiritually and meaningfully. She doesn't want to talk to me for a while, and she was grossed out that I thought of this when, according to her, literally no one else did. She said that me pointing this out was mean and unhelpful, that it speaks to my character, and that she thinks that I'm trying to take the shine away from her. She also thought that I was making her look bad by explaining the definition of anal to her on speakerphone, LMFAO. She said, "Any name can sound like something bad if you're literally trying to find something bad to say." So it's not an exciting update, but I hope it gives some closure. The name isn't changing, and apparently I'm the butthole for ever saying it, but at least I tried. Oh geez, I feel sorry for this kid. Her parents are dumb, and she's about to be massively bullied in school. That was r/Best of Redditor updates, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.